So, we would like to welcome everyone to the Sraddha to Prema retreat. This is the actual retreat from material existence. To take up this pathway, Sraddha to Prema, from having faith in the process and going all the way to the same supreme perfection of the process, is the only way to actually become sheltered or retreated from the cycle of birth and death. We are now taking a retreat from the daily humdrum 9-to-5 existence here in the beautiful Govinda Valley. But there is a greater Govinda Valley in what is known as the Paravyoma, the spiritual sky, which lies far, far beyond the cycle of birth and death. So just as we're finding some peace of mind, we're coming to beautiful Govinda Valley, we will get the ultimate peace by going to the supreme Govinda Valley of the transcendental existence beyond birth and death, the Paravyoma, the spiritual sky. That wondrous place where birth, death, old age and disease are conspicuous by their absence. We are not presenting something which is concocted or invented by some fertile imagination, but we are presenting the knowledge which is coming from God Himself through the ancient time-tested system known as parampara, the system of disciplic succession. As Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 4, text number 2, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo vidu sakaleneha mahata yoganashta parantapa. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. In course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. So we will be studying what the great acharyas in the line of succession have taught us about this amazing process known as Bhakti Yoga. There are many different types of yoga systems: Hatha Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Kundalini Yoga. We've heard of so many yoga systems. But as Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 6th chapter, text number 47, Yoginam api sarvesham mangatena taradmana shadavan bhajate yomang samayukta tamo mataha. Of all the yogis, the one who always thinks of me within himself, absorbing himself in loving devotional service unto me, is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest yogi of all. So we are taking the pathway of the greatest of all yogis, the bhaktas, the bhakti yogis. Today we'll be studying the words of one of the greatest of all the bhakti yogis in history, Srila Rupa Goswami. He has given us the theme for our retreat, actually. In his great compilation of transcendental wisdom called the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in the first canto, the 4th chapter, he has given these 2 verses. Adau Sraddha tata sadhu sangata bhajana kriya tato narata nivritti siyat tato nishta vrajis tataha atha saktis tato bhavas tata prema vyatunchati sadhakana mayang premna pudarbhave bhavet kramaha. Translation: in the beginning there must be faith. Then one becomes interested in associating with pure devotees. Thereafter, one is initiated by the spiritual master and executes the regulative principles under his orders. Then one is freed from all unwanted habits and becomes firmly fixed in devotional service. Thereafter, one develops taste and attachment. This is the way of sadhana bhakti, the execution of devotional service according to the regulative principles. Gradually, emotions intensify, and finally there's an awakening of love. This is the gradual development of love of Godhead for the devotee interested in Krishna consciousness. So each one of us is at a certain point along this progressive pathway. The first point is faith. It's like all of you have faith, that's why you've come for this seminar, this retreat. You have some faith in the process of self-realization, process of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, why are you driving all the way out here to Govinda Valley to spend your weekend? Mm-hmm. So you have some faith in this process. You have some faith to hear from me, that I can give you some valuable information. That's why you're sitting here. So that is faith. That is the whole beginning of it. And then, by that, having that faith, and one wants to associate with devotees, those who are, just like we are all associated here together. We have some faith in this process, and we are associating with each other. Because Sangat sanjayate kama, one's consciousness is developed by one's association. Just like we see on the cliff over here, a couple of miles from here, the hang gliders go there and they jump off the cliff. Many of them come there, they associate together, they have their hang glider sangha, and they jump off the cliff and they compare each other's hang gliding skills to encourage themselves in their hang gliding. You may have seen them over here on the cliff, jumping off, imitating the birds. Of course, they don't realize they're simply qualifying themselves to take birth as birds in their next life. Why go to the trouble of buying, having to drive all the way out from Sydney and spend so much money in a hang gliding kit, and and then such a big endeavor, just become a bird that you can just jump up and fly whenever you want to, you see. So they're getting their encouragement to be hang gliders by associating with other people who want to be hang gliders. So we are getting our encouragement by associating with people who want to become self-realized, who want to awaken that dormant, enlightened consciousness which has been sitting within the heart for millions and millions of births, you see. So that is called sadhu sangha. And then once you associate with the devotees, you see, well, they are doing this, they're doing that. They're bowing down, they're chanting, they're taking the remnants of sanctified foodstuffs offered to the Lord. They're taking shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. They're getting initiated by a bona fide spiritual master. This is called the stage of bhajana kriya, when one sees, okay, here's what they're doing. This is what their activities, their devotional activities are. Now I will also take up those devotional activities. That's called bhajana kriya. And then by doing those activities, you get a purification of the heart. All that dust, that dust which is accumulated for thousands and millions of lifetimes is gradually washed away. And we have a lot of it. I mean, we're really contaminated. That's the fact. We're very, very contaminated with lust, anger, greed, madness, illusion, envy. We're not as pure as we'd like to be. That's the reality. We're not as pure as we'd like to be. We're very polluted by years and years and years and years, millions of years of absorption in illusory activities, namely serving the senses of this body, taking the body to be the self. We've engaged in countless eons of indriya seva, service to the material senses. So that has left us in a very bewildered, precarious position of misidentifying ourselves, who are eternal spiritual beings, with some temporary lump of flesh and blood. It's actually quite astounding that an eternal spiritual being who's full of knowledge and full of bliss, would identify himself with a lump of flesh and blood, which is temporary, full of ignorance and misery. I mean, talk about Maya's expertise in hyping us, you see. We're taking such a insignificant, ridiculous thing and giving up the most wonderful thing. So by this process of gradually chanting, by chanting the holy names, by engaging in all the activities of bhakti, then gradually we become freed from all of this illusion of bodily consciousness. We start to get a clearing of our consciousness, just like when the clouds, on a cloudy day, they start to blow away, the sun starts to burn away the clouds, the wind starts to blow them away. Then things start to clear up. So when things are starting to clear up, that's called anartha nivritti. And then from anartha nivritti, once all that dirt is starting to go away, then you become very fixed up. You become solid, you become steady. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has actually elaborately described these different stages. He's explained in this way that in the Bhajana Kriya stage, when you're first getting initiated, you're taking it up, your meditation on the Supreme Lord is in little flashes and is always intruded upon by material thoughts. In other words, in the beginning, you're not constantly absorbed in Krishna consciousness, even though you'd like to be. Because of so many past bad habits, so many lifetimes of absorption in material things, you're going on and off. You're always being interrupted by material thoughts in the stage of Bhajana Kriya. But if one remains steady in chanting the prescribed number of rounds, following the regulative principles, then one progresses. He reaches a stage of nishtha, where you're almost meditating all the time. You're almost always Krishna conscious. Every now and then you're interrupted when you reach the nishtha stage. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, hardly interrupted. And then from there, where you get that fixity, where you're not interrupted very much anymore, just a little bit every now and then you're interrupted. Then you get to the stage known as ruchi, where there's even less interruptions. In that stage you get taste. You get a very sweet taste. It's like gulab jamun, very nice taste. You get a very, very nice taste. When you chant the holy name, it's delicious in your mouth. It's like, wow, Hare Krishna. It's scrumptious, you see. It's sweet in your mouth, it's sweet in your ears, it dances in your heart. Hare Krishna, you see. Ruchi. And then there's very little interruption once you get to the ruchi stage. And then it becomes even more intense, more deep, and that is called asakti, or attachment. There's actually a verse like that in the Bhagavad Gita in the 7th chapter, text number 1. Krishna talks about the mind being attached to him. Manya Sakti says, Manya Sakti. So that stage of attachment, now you're deeply and profoundly absorbed in meditation on Krishna. 24 hours a day, you're deeply and profoundly absorbed in meditation in the asakti stage. In the bhava stage, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes that when in the bhava stage, when you meditate on Krishna, then immediately he appears. Krishna appears in your meditation. And then finally, when you reach the Prema stage, that's when you have loving exchanges with Krishna. Not you're just meditating on Krishna, but you're actually having loving reciprocation with him constantly. Direct, constant, personal association and loving exchange with Krishna. So it's a wonderful thing to reach that stage. That's the perfection, to where you have a direct personal relationship with Krishna. At every minute you're reciprocating with him, one-on-one. You can hear Krishna speak to you, you can speak to Krishna. In this way, you can see Krishna at every minute, within and without, directly associating with him constantly. So the question is, okay, it sounds pretty good. Now, here I am struggling in bhajana kriya or trying to push through to the nishta stage. How do I get there? You see? So that's what we're going to be talking about during this retreat. How us struggling neophytes who are battling it out in the lower stages of being constantly interrupted in our Krishna consciousness by material thoughts. How we can subdue the mind, bring it under control. You see, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapters number 6. Yato yato, text number 26. Yato yato nischalati manas chanchalamascharam tatastato nayam yaitat atmam yaiva vishamnaya. From wherever the mind wanders, due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. So this is a very, very advanced art. And it's the most wonderful art you can ever learn. It doesn't mean it's not doable, it's not learnable. It is doable, it is learnable. It's just a matter of desire. If you want to be able to become fixed in Krishna consciousness, then you can do it, because Krishna will help you. In fact, Krishna helps so many people to become expert at so many things. He's like a tightrope walker, you see. It's amazing to watch them up there on the tightrope. They walk out on the tightrope, they put a chair down, they sit down and relax. Looks like they're sitting and relaxing on the tightrope in a chair. You've seen them? Is it? That takes a lot of training, a lot of determination to be able to do that. So Krishna will empower somebody to be able to walk on a tightrope and appear just act as if they're just relaxed, nonchalantly sitting there in a chair on top of a tightrope. Then how much more he'll empower and help someone who wants to master the science of bringing the mind under control. How much more Krishna will help them. Krishna is within the heart as the Paramatma. And whatever you desire to do, he'll facilitate that. So if you desire to become his pure devotee, to achieve the stage of Krishna Prema as described here, where you can have direct, constant personal association with him, how much do you think he's willing to facilitate? Unlimitedly you facilitate. Actually, Krishna has been sitting within our hearts for countless lifetimes, just waiting. When will this dear devotee of mine who has forgotten me, when will he give up trying to imitate me in this material world and realize that he's simply my eternal servant and now he has to come back to serving me? You see, Krishna has been watching and waiting for millions and billions of lifetimes for that opportune moment when now he can finally give you everything you need to attain it. So we have our best friend, Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. We have our best friend sitting within our heart right now. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is sitting right there in our hearts right now, just waiting. When will this soul become serious to achieve Krishna Bhakti? So all you have to do is make that determination. Now I want to become a pure devotee. Now I want to attain Prema. So let me do whatever it takes to get there, you see. Whatever it takes to get there, I'm going to do it. If it means I have to get up early in the morning, okay, I'll give up my sleep. I'll get up early in the morning. If it means chanting the names of God on japa beads, I'll do that. If it means giving up my prized coffee and tea in the morning, okay. It's tough, but I'll do it, you see. Whatever it takes, I'm willing to do it, you see. You have to be determined. If the determination is not there, well, you're not ready for it yet. And it may mean you don't understand actually how much you're suffering in this material world. That's an important thing. We have to understand how much we're actually suffering in this material existence. We may think it's very nice now here in Australia, but just imagine you took birth again in a third world country in your next lifetime. Go visit the third world if you think life in this material world is very nice. Go to some devastated place, like take your vacation in Baghdad. And just think if you were living in Baghdad right now, you see, and you had to struggle for existence in Baghdad. Understand? We may think it's very nice now, but according to our karma, sometimes we're in Brahmaloka, sometimes we're in Baghdad. So we have to be intelligent and realize this material world, sometimes it appears okay, but even then it's not really okay, because we're forced to get sick, get old, and die. We may have a very nice situation here in Australia, but yet I'm forced to get sick, I'm forced to get old, and I'm forced to die. So it's a suffering condition. Whether you're in a position of relative happiness or in your position of obvious misery in this material existence, in every case, it's actually a suffering condition. One has to realize that. And realize that actually, if I don't awaken my loving relationship with that Supreme Person, the source of all existence, I'm doing nothing but cheating myself. Nothing but cheating myself. So one who comes to this understanding, he realizes, I have to get out of this place. I have to reawaken my eternal identity as God's servant. I cannot go on thinking that I'm this body, that I'm male, that I'm female, that I'm black, that I'm white, that I'm young, that I'm old, so many designations. I need to come out of the illusion and realize who I actually am, and stop playing these games of overlordship in this material existence. The intelligent person, therefore, becomes very, very serious. And he tries to find out now, what can I do to awaken my self-realization? You see, this is Sraddha stage. He has faith that he has an identity beyond matter, and he wants to know how he can awaken it. This is Sraddha. You see, he has faith. Just like one songwriter, he wrote, I opened my heart to the whole universe and I found that it was loving. He has some faith that there's something beyond the hellish condition of material life. There's some loving principle there. You see? It's not just a bunch of chemicals, a cruel chemical reaction which destroys you in the end. He had faith there was some principle higher than simply a bunch of chemicals interacting with each other. So when one has that kind of faith, that's very good, that should be encouraged. But the modern day society does not encourage that kind of faith. They encourage the faith in the scientists. It's like this Dr. Stephen Hawking. He says that the universe comes out of absolutely nothing. I call him Dr. He Hawking, like an ass. He-haw, he Hawking, he Hawking. You see, the ass, somebody does his hee-haw and he is thinking, yes, I am a very great philosopher, scientist, by my hee-hawing. So, they are going on being misled by these such so-called scientists. I mean, where's the scientific proof? That the universe came out of absolutely nothing. I mean, where's the proof? Can you produce anything out of nothing? Can you demonstrate in the laboratory that you can take nothing and get something out of it? Has any scientist ever done that in any laboratory? It's never been done. There's no scientific proof, but yet he's putting this forward and people are applauding him as a great scientist. Oh yes, you're the greatest scientist in the history. You're greater than Newton, greater than Einstein. You're the greatest scientist, Dr. He Hawkins. And this is the mentality of the modern day society. So we're trained and schooled by this modern day society. We have to go to their schools, read their textbooks, etc. So it's bewildering to us. So this whole empirical, scientific delirium madness, actually. It's crazy. So if one has sensibilities, if one has sensitivity about his own identity and the nature of the universe, then he or she can understand there has to be something beyond this. It couldn't just be a bunch of chemicals going through reaction and merging into death. It couldn't be just that. Life couldn't be so cruel, is it? So when one has that kind of faith, there has to be something beyond the cruel material existence, then one is a fit candidate for this process. And therefore, the Lord within the heart brings him in contact with devotees of the Lord, brings him in contact with books of bona fide spiritual value, brings him in contact with the bona fide spiritual master, so that he can actually, that sincere soul can actually receive the seed of bhakti planted within the heart. Brahmanda Brahmite Konya Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhaktirata Bij. After wandering throughout the Brahmanda, the higher planets, the lower planets, wandering for millions and millions of lifetimes, one living entity who is very fortunate, he comes in contact with a bona fide spiritual master and receives the seed of bhakti within the heart. So this bhakti seed, if you properly cultivate that bhakti seed, then you will go all the way from Sraddha to Prema. It's simply a matter of being a very good gardener, that's all. Being a conscientious gardener. It doesn't require you have to be a magician or some great mystic yogi. It's not required. To achieve Prema, all you have to do is be a conscientious gardener. All right, I've got the seed of bhakti in the heart. The spiritual master has planted the seed of bhakti in my heart. Now I have to water that seed by regularly chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And I have to keep the weeds out of the heart, namely illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, gambling. And I have to build a very strong fence around the garden so that the mad elephant of Vaishnava aparad cannot enter within my heart. So if one acts as a conscientious gardener, carefully cultivating that little seedling now that sprouts out as one goes from Sraddha to Sadhusanga to Bhajana Kriya to Anarthanavritti to Nishta to Ruchi, etc. That little plant, that little creeper is coming out now, you see, it's growing. If you nurture it very carefully, just like a gardener, then it's a fact that you will achieve Krishna Prema in due course of time. You will. And this is what Prabhupada is encouraging. Prabhupada personally told me, he said, now you just qualify yourself to see Krishna face to face. That's Prema. You see? So the spiritual master, he encourages the disciple, he orders the disciple actually, that now you must qualify yourself to come to the perfectional stage of Prema. So it's very important that we know, that we understand fully these teachings of Rupa Goswami. What are these various stages and how I can progress through these various stages. It's very important. So I very much appreciate you all have come to this retreat to study now how we can progress, how we can progressively advance along that pathway from Sraddha to Prema. So now I can ask if there's any questions.
Person get Shraddha initially.
How does one get Shraddha to begin with? Yes. We'll be going into an in-depth study of that, and we're having a session on Shraddha. But actually everyone has Shraddha. There are different types of Shraddha. There's Shraddha in the mode of ignorance, Shraddha in the mode of passion, and Shraddha in the mode of goodness. If one is in the mode of goodness, the tendency for Shraddha, which is there in everyone, will manifest by having faith in the process of self-realization. If one is in the mode of passion, then he'll have faith in money, on making money, getting ahead materially. If he's in the mode of ignorance, he'll have faith in, drugs, alcohol, heroin. He'll put his faith in those things, like that. So, the way to get that Sraddha, which is to be in the mode of goodness. So if one is fortunate to have somehow be in the mode of goodness by one's karma, one took birth in a family or a place where the mode of goodness is encouraged, then the natural tendency for Sraddha will be manifested in this way, in spiritual, have faith in spiritual life. He'll have faith in being a good person, doing good for others. He'll value those things. So the faith is in everyone. It's a matter of good association. Then one will have faith in the process of self-realization. And even if one is born in an atheistic family, still, from previous lifetimes, one may have that tendency. We've seen people who are in atheistic families who became devotees, surrendered and became disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Because even though they were born in an atheistic family, they had some tendency from a previous life to have faith in higher transcendental values. So it's a matter of good association, to be fortunate to have good association. Any other questions?
Guru Maharaj, in the material world, we know that it takes a certain number of years to reach this or that level, and at the end of these years there is exam, and then if you pass exam, then you know that you have achieved this or that level. How, in this case, how do we know that we have passed the exam, that we have achieved a certain level?
Well, when you can see Krishna face to face at every minute and you're having personal exchange with him, then you know you've reached it.
But it's the final stage, but till then...
Along the way, you have to see, I was explaining from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, you have to see how much your Krishna consciousness is being interrupted. If is your Krishna consciousness non-stop, or is your mind still like a dancing monkey? I mean, everybody can see what's going on in their own consciousness. We have to take an honest look of ourselves. How much Krishna conscious am I actually? Am I always thinking of Krishna? Or am I, my mind dancing here and there? Jumping from this thing to that thing. A little bit of Krishna, and now back to the material energy. A little bit of Krishna, back to the material energy. What am I absorbed in? What am I meditating on? Am I thinking of sex life? You see? So we have to see, honestly, look within ourselves. Actually, it's embarrassing, let's face it. It's embarrassing if we really take an honest look. It's quite embarrassing to see how much we're not really Krishna conscious. But it's something we all have to do. We have to bite the bullet, as they say, and take an honest look inside my heart. How Krishna conscious actually am I? We may look in there and say, wow, I'm really a despicable rascal. I mean, this is horrible. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur encourages us, because he's written that song, Gopinath. Gopinath mamani vedana shuno vishai durjana sada kamarata kichu nahi moraguna. If Bhaktivinoda is praying like that, then what is our position? He's saying, my dear Gopinath, I'm a materialistic rascal, I'm always full of lust, I have no good qualities. You see? So even if I look inside thinking, well, how Krishna conscious am I? And I go, this is a big rascal sitting in there. Lusty, angry, greedy, envious, lazy jerk sitting in there. Oh, What is my hope? And then Bhaktivinoda is there singing like that. Oh, thank you, Bhaktivinoda. Give me a little hope. You see? Actually, one thing to note is the more you feel yourself fallen, that's actually advancement. So if you actually feel I'm really in pretty bad shape, I mean, that's a good sign. Shouldn't be discouraged. If you honestly look in your heart and you feel, wow, I'm really a mess. I'm really a big mess in there. You know? My faith is so shaky. My sadhana is so nebulous. Krishna, help me. You see, that's the mood. If you're in the mood of begging Krishna, oh my Lord, I'm really in bad shape. Please save me, Krishna. That's how you make advancement. You think, yeah, I'm pretty fixed up. I think I'm on Ruchi, a little Sakti, and I'll come on to Baba tomorrow, you know. Then you're really in bad shape, you see. The most advanced devotees, they feel I'm not even a devotee. You can read the writings of the pure devotees and see what they really feel about themselves, you see. So if I'm feeling I'm really in pretty bad shape, it's a good sign. It's a very good sign. You're developing humility. Developing the ability to see honestly, you know, how you're under the influence of the Mother Nature. That's when you become strong. That's when you become powerful. Prabhupada told us in Boston, he said, I'm always praying to Krishna that I will not fall down. He's probably thinking, yes, I have prema. No, he was thinking, I'm so weak I could fall down at any minute. Prabhupada is feeling that way and praying like that. You see? So it's not bad to feel that I'm really a spiritual basket case. I'm really pretty bad shape. It's good to understand that. Then you have to beg. When you chant your rounds, you won't be chanting mechanically, begging Krishna to save you. My dear Lord, I'm a mess. Please save me. I'm a mess. I'm a psychological mess, my Lord. Please save me from this disastrous position I'm in right now. You see, that mood is how you can really call out with feeling. Krishna, save me from this. So this is when we study all these different levels during this retreat, it will be something to help us all feel, wow, I'm really a long way from where I need to be. It's good to feel that way. It's very good to feel that way. Even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he wrote an essay about being a spiritual master. And he describes, I forget the exact wording, but the mood of what he was saying was that, you know, who is that beast sitting up there on the Vyasasana thinking that he's qualified? That's how he was talking about himself. He's some monster, you know, sitting on the Vyasasana thinking he's actually qualified. But on the order of my spiritual master, I have to do this, you see. So even the spiritual master, we see, Bhaktisiddhanta, and Prabhupada also, he showed that in Los Angeles. They made the Vyasasana for him. First time, you know, big, proper Vyasasana. Prabhupada started crying. He said, I'm not qualified to sit in that. I'm not qualified to sit in that chair. But I'm doing so on behalf of my spiritual master. So if even the spiritual master thinks, I'm unqualified, you see, I'm an unqualified person. I have no good qualifications. So the more we can actually develop those feelings of humility, that's how we can progress along this pathway towards Krishna Prema.
Maharaj, it means that although these saintly persons are able to describe all these stages, they never attribute these stages to themselves.
They don't feel. The more they advance, the less they feel they're advanced. Let's put it that way.
So, and that leads to the conclusion that even this question, when will I get this or that stage, is not appropriate at all.
Well, we can take the words of the great acharyas and we can see how they're described, and we can understand what the symptoms are, and that encourages us to develop those symptoms. It's like nishta means you're solidly fixed, ruchi means the taste awakens, it becomes very tasty for you. Krishna consciousness is very, very delicious and tasty. And Sakti means you're just completely attached. We can study these, and we can use these as measurements to see, well, how do I stack up in relation to this description? And how I can develop more taste, more attachment. So these descriptions are very good for us. Because the fact is, we will eventually come to these stages. They will come to it. That's the thing. Any other questions? Yes?
Maharaj, how to be more determined? Because mind is very fleeting. So how to become more determined in the sadhana?
Repeat it for me. Can someone help me?
How to become more determined in bhakti?
Yes. Well, the best way to become more determined in bhakti is to always remember that little sparrow. You know the story of the little sparrow from Bhagavad Gita? Yeah. You can always remember that little sparrow, how determined she was. The point is that one may think, well, it's impossible to become Krishna conscious. It's impossible to attain Krishna Prema, so I'm not even going to try. See, man, there's no determination there. That little sparrow could have thought it's impossible to dry up the ocean, so I better not try, I'll just have to be renounced and forget about my eggs. But that's the defeatist attitude kills determination. One has to have the hope against hope attitude that somehow or other, even though I'm the most lusty, angry, greedy, illusioned, mad, envious beasts, somehow or other I must become Krishna conscious. I know it's possible because Lord Chaitanya is very kind, Lord Nityananda is very kind, Guru Maharaj is very kind, all the Acharyas are very kind, Srila Prabhupada is very kind. I know it's possible. So therefore, even though I'm a hopeless case, I'm determined, I'm going to somehow do it. I'm going to dry up the ocean like the sparrow, I'm going to dry up the ocean of my material desires, and I'm going to awaken pure love of God within my heart. I'm determined, I'm going to do it. No matter what it takes, I'm going to do it. Even if I die trying, I'm going to stay fixed in my determination to achieve it. That is how to achieve the determination. Is that clear? Anything else? Yes.
If someone just thinks that, oh, I'm not going anywhere, I'm fallen very lowly, I'm not able to do it, don't they start feeling that it is hopeless?
That's why I'm explaining to you, the more you feel unqualified, that is your qualification, and the proof of this is Narottam Das Thakur. He said, in his nice bhajan, he says, my dear Lord Chaitanya, you are Patita Pavana. You are the savior of the most fallen. Therefore, since I am the most fallen, despicable person, I'm the first in the queue for your mercy. So, the more one feels unqualified, the good news is that you become more and more qualified. The more you feel unqualified and fallen, you become more and more qualified for the special mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So there's no question of being unqualified. It's just a matter of, do you want this or not? Do you want to achieve the supreme perfection? This is very nicely, the mood is very nicely described by one of the Goswamis. It's Rupa Goswami, actually. He says, Krishna Bhakti Rasa Babita Mati Kriyatang Yadi Kutopi Labhyate Tatra Layam Apimuya Mekalam Janma Kotir Sakritarina Labhyate. He says, pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by executing pious activities in hundreds and thousands, even millions of lifetimes. It can be attained only by paying one price, tattalayam, intense greed to achieve it. And then he concludes this verse by saying, if it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. So, it's simply a matter of really the only thing that's required if you want to achieve Krishna Prema. There's only one thing you have to have, according to Rupa Goswami, who's the greatest authority on Bhakti Yoga. There's only one thing you have to have, tattalayam. You have to have intense greed. That's all. If you have intense greed to achieve this, it doesn't matter whether you're pious or impious, wherever you may be, whether you're educated, uneducated, young, old, sinful, doesn't matter what your position. None of these things matter. There's only one thing that matters if one wants to achieve the supreme perfection, and that is, are you intensely greedy to get it? If you have that intense greed, then if you find it available somewhere, you'll run there and you'll purchase it with the price of faith. That's the currency. Instead of Australian dollars, or American dollars, and the South African rand, we just came from South Africa. The currency is Sraddha. You purchase it with the price of faith. You have faith in the process, and you have the intense greed to achieve it. You will take that faith, and you go to that place where it's available, and you put your faith there, and you'll get the prema. That's how it happens. That's the process, how it works. So our schedule now is to end at this point. And now we're going to have a breakfast of fasting today for the disappearance of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It's a very auspicious occasion to pray for his blessings. We have come here to see how to progress from Sraddha to Prema, and being the most holy disappearance day of His Divine Grace, Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Astatarasadasi Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we can beg for his blessing to please help us achieve this position of pure devotional service. Please free us from the anarthas. Please help us develop this fixity. Help us develop this taste. Help us develop this attachment. Help us to develop the feelings, the spiritual emotions within the heart. And help us to come to that point of absolutely pure, unadulterated love. You see? All you have to do is beg, really. The mood of the beggar is the key. It's not, you see, the yogis, they try to achieve perfection by breathing, by doing the different asanas, merging the incoming breaths with the outgoing breaths, etc., etc. But ours is not a mechanical process. We're begging for it. Please give me to it. Please give it to me. We simply have to beg with intense greed. That's all. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. We have to beg our spiritual master, beg the previous acharya, beg Lord Krishna, beg Lord Chaitanya, beg for the mercy. But please save me. I'm in the most fallen, precarious position. Please save me. Please save me. You see, intensely crying out for the Lord's mercy. In this way, they will bless us. As Prabhupada says, crying like a child for the mother. So how often do we do that when we chant our japa? How often do we do that when we pray to the Lord? Are we crying like a child for the mother? In that mood we have to develop more and more and more. That will take us deeper and deeper into transcendental meditation on the Lord and the service of the Lord. Krishna is there, He's present before us at this very minute, but we are covered by lust, anger, greed, madness, illusion and envy. Therefore we cannot see Krishna. So we can beg Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to please shower your mercy upon us on this holy disappearance day of yours. Please shower your mercy upon us that we can have this awakening of Krishna Prema within our heart. So we'll stop here. We have our next session at, let's see, at 10 o'clock. There's free time now for chanting, reading, etc. And at 10 o'clock we're going to spend an hour and a half going into a detailed look at Sraddha and Sadhu Sangha.